Hello, everyone. Michael Henry Dunn here, and I'm glad to share with you a chapter from my recently published book, Templar Return, a Memoir of Hidden Gold, the Rising Goddess, and the Restoration of Chivalry. And this is a chapter called The Bloodstream of Gaia, which concerns itself with Templar science and the mystic valley of Crestone, Colorado. And it opens with a quote from a man known in the San Luis Valley as the Prophet, Glenn Ulysses Anderson. The age that is upon us is one of a collective awakening, where in the past it seemed an individual experience. A wave of energy is coming and has been coming for many eons. It pulsates as a living breath, inhaling and exhaling in perfect harmony. It is like the four seasons that come and go without hindrance from mankind. We cannot stop the seasons from coming, nor can we stop the great change that is upon us from unveiling itself. The conflict between duality and spirituality is coming to an end. No longer will our free will be interfered with. This is the season of choice. It is the identification time. We can choose to go on as is, to develop the intellectual mind, which seeks to manipulate matter for growth and for change, or we can give up the idea that we need anything outside of our own mind. Both are valid, both can exist, but they cannot coexist. What we have come to experience is to be part of a great awakening, to know the connection we have with all creation, which is within the infinite mind of spirit. Again, that's from Glenn Ulysses Anderson, known in Crestone as the Prophet. To be a Templar, in its most ancient and truest sense, is to be one who seeks to preserve and practice sacred knowledge, which means to seek out holy places and to create centers of beauty and power, aligned with the natural energies of the earth. The famous Templar cross, with its unique geometry, is not actually symbolic of the crucifixion. It is a much more ancient symbol, a deeply layered, sacred geometrical energy expression, an interplay between dark and light, which is timeless and universal. While it has been appropriated by factions as disparate and dark as the Third Reich and leather-clad motorcycle gangs, it cannot ultimately be tainted or defamed because it is representative of life itself. Among the implications in this profound symbol is a simple and very human one, a place where two roads meet, a place where the sacred four directions are expressed, in essence, a crossroads, a place to build a temple. Much has been written by men and women more learned than myself, revealing the precision with which the Templars aligned their churches with the energies, ley lines, and grid patterns of the planet, from Notre Dame to Chartres to Mont Saint-Michel to Rosslyn Chapel. A sacred science was painstakingly practiced, ensuring that this most ancient and essential Templar legacy was anchored in Mother Earth herself as a lasting gift to the spiritual ascension of humanity. Such places can be transformative for those seeking communion with Source. I learned this the hard way before joining in the effort to attempt to restore the original Templar order. In my mid-20s, I was a working stage actor, having returned from New York City to my hometown of Chicago. And I was haunted by a burning desire to commune with the divine. I knew this meant that I must develop a disciplined practice of meditation. I had found a true and powerful path and technique and guide in Self-Realization Fellowship, the great teaching founded by Paramahansa Yogananda. But environment proved stronger than will. Well, at least stronger than my will. A deep inner frustration and longing finally led me to take some radical action. A projected 4-month professional trip to Los Angeles became a 3.5-year immersion in the high vibration of a renowned spiritual center, which is said to be one of the holiest places on earth, the Self-Realization Fellowship Lake Shrine Meditation Gardens in Pacific Palisades. I needed the blessing and metaphysical power of a spiritual energy center and a meditative environment in which to truly become a disciple, a word rooted in discipline. When I was offered a position as the cook in the monastery at the Lake Shrine, the monk in charge counseled me, said, if you spend a year in this environment, you will change. This place is charged with powerful spiritual vibrations and the strong presence of the Divine Mother. I remained, of course, an imperfect and rather bumptious fellow, but I will dare to say that I did change. Meditation and tangible divine communion became a beautiful reality in my life. So when the time came for the restored Templar Order to establish a center on the North American continent, we were led to another place of intensely high sacred energy, a place where mountains and crystals and a vast underground aquifer combine to manifest an energy so high that many who come there for the natural beauty or as a vacation or retirement spot find that they cannot abide the overpowering energy of the place, which nearly forces evolution upon you. The hidden message of the vortex of Crestone, Colorado, might be expressed as evolve or leave. The story of how Crestone came to be the emerging Mecca of North America is worth recounting. In October of 1978, a bearded old man with a strange light in his eyes knocked on the door of a Danish woman who had just moved with her husband to this highest alpine valley in the world in southern Colorado. Known locally as the Prophet, he was somewhat ragged in appearance, but Hannah Strong immediately sensed a special soul and invited him in. I've been waiting for you, he said. A prophecy is a dicey business. It has often amazed me to see how many so-called prophets retain their reputation as prophets even after their predictions have failed to come true, not just once, but time and again. History records very few accurate prophets. One of the most astonishing being a 17-year-old peasant girl from the village of Domremy in France, who turned out to be one of the greatest Templars who ever lived, but that's another story. Glenn Ulysses Anderson, the prophet, who knocked on Hannah Strong's door that day, appears likely to go down in history as the genuine article. He visited Hannah and her husband Maurice each day for 4 days and told them that their coming had been foretold decades before, that a foreign couple would come to the sacred San Luis Valley and create a rainbow community of the great and true religious and spiritual traditions from all over the world, and that it would be a model of simplicity, sustainability, and spirituality. a place where the earth was honored and replenished, where pilgrims would come for retreat, conscious evolution, and enlightenment. As it turned out, a real estate company had invested $30 million in infrastructure, including roads, water, and electricity in an undeveloped area of the valley. And the development had lost everything. Now, said the prophet, the true purpose of this land could be fulfilled. The Strongs were the couple whose coming had been foretold, he said, and they were to invite leaders of sacred lineages from all over the world to build centers in Crestone. The infrastructure, which these lineages could never have afforded to build on their own, was in place. It now remained only for Hannah and Maurice to make land grants from their large holdings to authentic spiritual traditions for the vision to manifest. As it happened, Hannah Strong had already spent some years in helping to convene interfaith gatherings of spiritual leaders. Whatever cosmic forces had created the prophecy had apparently planned ahead. Knowing that the land was part of the ancient home of the Hopi tribe, Hannah made a pilgrimage to a gathering of Hopi elders to seek their counsel and blessing. After a ceremony in their sacred kiva and 4 days of fasting by Hannah, the elders confirmed the truth of the prophecy as Hannah received inner confirmation leading to the founding of the Manitou Foundation. 40 years later, the vision is visible. Called by the Dalai Lama the Tibet of the West, Crestone is now home to some 25 lineages and spiritual communities, including, once upon a time for 25 years, a Carmelite hermitage, a Persian ziggurat, Hindu ashrams, Zen Buddhist centers, and exquisite Buddhist stupas, which anchor the powerful sacred energies of the land. A movement to create model sustainable communities is gathering momentum. I landed there by a synchronistic accident and a leased Honda Civic. After the passing of my parents, within a few weeks of each other in 2015, I spent a year in Wisconsin, much of it at the beautiful Franciscan retreat in the North Woods known as the Crestone Center. An infusion of funds from a generous patron in late 2016 allowed me to preside at an inspiring Templar Knight and Dame elevation ceremony in Malibu on the night of the full moon of November. I had arranged to return to Wisconsin, to a home near my family's farm, which my younger brother hoped to purchase from my parents' estate. I nurtured fond visions of turning the beautiful valley of the farm, where I spent many summers as a child, into a spiritual retreat modeled on the Crestone Center. Spirit had other ideas. I was nearing the end of a 3-year lease on a Honda Civic, which I had to return to Los Angeles from Wisconsin. The necessary cross-country trip would take me near Crestone, where there were several new Templars who had offered to host me for a stay of several weeks. As one approaches Crestone, one is greeted by the looming magnificence of Mount Challenger, a solid mass of crested stone over 14,000 feet high. It is said to be the etheric resting place of the Ark of An, an unimaginably ancient spiritual dynamo, which is the original of the Ark of the Covenant. The famed Ark of the Covenant is said to have been moderated in its power so that male priests could work with its energies. Only priestesses could work with the energies of the much more powerful Ark of An and survive. During those weeks, I met some of the most remarkable souls I've encountered in this life, men and women who would emerge in the coming months as the leaders of what would become the Johannine Templar order, including Reverend Maya Christine Nartumid, Reverend William Bueller, Dame Edie Cooper, and many other beautiful souls. The accumulated wisdom, Templar lore, and record of humble service of these souls moved me deeply. It soon became apparent that a Templar center was spontaneously emerging in this sacred valley. Meanwhile, 7,000 miles away on the edge of the Sahara Desert in Luxor, Egypt, the attempt to restore the original Templar order was unraveling. And so that is the end to this chapter of the book Templar Return. And if you are interested in having the entire book, there's a link to Amazon below. And I would be very glad to welcome you also to my Substack page. The link is there as well, whether as a free or contributing subscriber. I am glad to have you there. Thanks for listening. God bless.